What's going on, Facebook? This is a short video about the Veer Finish, and I'm going to cover some of the details of how I teach this. I have a game sample here and some training samples from a recent camp that I did, and I just wanted to show a little more of the details on this just because I feel like this is a very overlooked skill in terms of the footwork and some of the intricacies that go into this finish. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. If I go long, I apologize. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you a game clip first here of the Veer Finish. This is one of my clients, so you can see exactly what this looks like. All right, so pretty simple looking finish. Let's bring that back and kind of go through some of the little details here. So first off, we have a fast break. Obviously, we're running hip to hip with each other here, and I want you to watch a couple things here. So we're gonna have a ball pickup and then 2 steps downhill. So we have a swing step first, and I'll get into the details of this terminology in a second. And then right at the end, we have a veer step. And you can see the defender kind of bumps off and loses balance and is unable to jump with the finisher here. Okay, so one more time here. We got pickup, defense is even. We have what we call a swing step after the pickup and what I call the veer step, hence the name Veer Finish. So now I have some closer up clips that we're going to take a look here. All right, so the veer step. So the veer step is the last step of our finish before we jump. So if I picked up the ball, I want you to imagine in this breakdown right now, we've picked the ball up, we took our motion step or the first step after the pickup, and we're taking that last step. So you can see the girls here, they're working on the last step of this finish. So I like to reverse engineer things, especially when I work on finishing and contact. Okay, so you're going to see here, this is the last step of that clip that you just saw. And you can see the veering motion. We're trying to step in front and cut off that defender, okay? So one more time, just going to play this back a few times. So we're trying to get in front and cut them off, hence the name veer. So when I come back to this clip, that last step right there is what they're working on here. So let's just think that we're working backwards right now, okay? So we're working on that step. All right, and I got one more here. And you can see the girls here in the camp that I'm running, we're just working with a partner and just working and focusing on the aspects of the contact, so the bumping, handling that pressure and stepping and forcing the way in front. And also ball placement. You can see I have the girls really strong with the ball. They're squeezing it with what I call a high ball pickup. Everyone has different terminology. I just define high above the waist, low below the waist. Okay, and they're just working on stepping in front while leaning into each other and kind of almost, getting into a little bit of a body slant. So you can see their bodies. I have them, if you look around the court here, they're all kind of slanted and leaning into each other. If you've ever looked at a freeze frame of an NBA player or WNBA player driving to the rim, these super high athletes, they're very low to the floor and they're almost, slanted at a 45 angle with their defender to create a better bump and angles to get in front. Okay. All right, so now moving on. So that's the veer step. We're working on the end there. Okay, so now let's work back another step. So now we're going on with the motion step or the swing step, and that's going to be our first step after the pickup. Okay, so the swing step is where we swing that outside foot, and I'm going to freeze frame this. So right here, we're swinging this outside foot into this defender. Okay, so coming in at this motion here to create that initial kind of bump and collision, and then we use that veer step at the ends to really finish it off. Okay, so let's see the swing step. All right, so there's step one, and obviously right now it's a travel, but again we're just working on the footwork, the steps, and you'll see how this all connects here in a sec. Okay, so there's a swing step, outside foot over top inside foot, we're leaning and pushing in, and then there's that last veer step where we're strong and we're creating that hard bump. Notice the ball is not being swung. I was very clear with these campers and make sure that they did not swing that ball, and they flexed the biceps and kept it as close to that outside ear as they can. Okay. So now coming back to the game clip, so we got pickup, step one on the swing step, step two with the veer step, cut off, create the bump. So now we come back to this game clip here, and again, this is one of my clients. She's been working on this for quite some time. All right, and it is really cool to see this happening in real games this year, especially after all the quarantine stuff. So we have our pickup. Okay, there's the swing step right there. So that right foot swinging over top, and you can see she changes angles slightly, and it's hard to see from this high up angle, but she starts to pick up here. Swing step is here, veer step is here. So you can see she kind of creates this kind of curved angle inward to create that veering motion. So pick up, swing, veer, bump, and then there's a space. So coming back to the breakdown drill, now we're putting it into a live situation. So now after we go one-on-one ISO, just anywhere on the floor, now we start plugging this into a little more of a game context with a basket. So the way I'm running this drill setup is everyone's set up in what I call a shoulder war, and they're at a body slant with their partner. Everyone's going on the whistle, working on that veer step. Okay, so on the whistle, it's basically a battle to that first step, and they got to go up and finish. Defense is completely live here. Their job is to stay attached to the hip and battle to get in front of that finisher. Okay, so working again that last step, and you can see this really resembles this finish in the game here. Step in, bump, finish. So we're resembling and working on game-like scenarios. She's done this drill. She's familiar with it. She's familiar with what it feels like to finish with that bump. Okay, excuse me. So now we're coming and adding a dribble. Okay, so we're getting rid of the travel and we're adding the dribble and making it more game-like, just reverse engineering this process. Okay, so now working on here is we're breaking this down with our campers. This is what it would look like from the baseline corner view from the game. So we had our dribble step and a pickup. Okay, so we're even right now, just like they were on this clip. So boom, right there. There's the pickup. We're even. Okay, there's the swing step on the next one. So and look at here, I reminded her to get that ball up high. So there's our initial swing step. We're still even, just like here in the game clip. Swing step, we're even still. And then to finish off that last little bump and angle that we need, we take that veer, keeping that ball high and in front, not swinging it back to the inside hip, and then we're able to clear that space out. Okay, so same thing going there, and then just so you guys can kind of see like a better view of this, dribble step, pickup, motion step, which I define a motion step as just a step without a dribble. So we have our pickup into a motion step / swing step, swinging inward into the defender, and then we have that last step to veer them off and finish it off with the bump. Okay, and then here's some live camp, repetitions that the campers were doing here. So you can see it's very similar to that game clip that you saw earlier. So we have our dribble step, pickup 1, 2, and up. Same thing here with some of the younger campers that we had. Dribble step, there's a swing inward. We create the bump. Looks like he pushed off just a little bit there. It's all good. And you can see it's kind of the same thing that happens, and this kind of brings everything to a nice segue with finishing, is I like to tell my clients, we should be looking to bump before you jump, okay? We don't want to, as much as possible, and the girls' game is always going to be a little bit different than the girls' game in terms of contact in the air, but if we can create these bumps and contact situations before you jump, you're going to be a lot more successful, because now you're not going to have to deal with a defender up in the air trying to reach and block your shot and things like that. Okay, so when we're watching this game clip, watch what the veer step does at the end. It's not just a simple traditional pickup. Yes, it is opposite foot, opposite hand, which by most people's definition is a traditional layup. It's much deeper than that. It's the angle. Okay, so at the end, when we create that bump, I want you to watch how the defender gets off balance. So she gets knocked back from that contact, and she's unable to jump with the finisher here because her feet are connected to the floor. She's got nice space right here to finish, and she puts it in, and she got the foul call on this as well. Okay, so we want to be doing these things before we jump. I think, and this is just my opinion, I'm definitely wrong at times, and I'm not afraid to admit it. This is just my opinion. I do feel like we teach players to deal with this contact too much in the air, and we really need to be teaching them what's happening, what they should be doing en route to that finish, so that they can create that space that they need at the rim right when they jump. They don't have to deal with that defender getting their arm up and everything like that. So those are just my thoughts. Take them for what it's worth on contact finishing, more specifically the veer step. I hope that this video was of value to you. Leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on it, and let's start a discussion on contact finishing.